theyeshiva.net.
Okay. So let's continue now inside. Last paragraph, Anun Beis, column 2, page 103. So we learned that Moshe's lamentation, that kvad peh, kvad lashon anochi, lo yish dvarim anochi, I'm not a man of words, I'm not a man of communication, ani aral svasoyim, I have stuffed lips, I have plugged lips, I have a heavy tongue, I have a heavy mouth, is conveying a very profound truth about Moshe's soul. And that is that all communication is about kalim. All communication is about structure. The most effective communication is communication that is structured well. It's the ability to take an idea, a feeling, an experience, an encounter, and present it. It's about presentation. Presentation is always kalim. It's how you package it, what's the beginning, what's the middle, what's the end, how it's contained, because it's all about the recipient. It's not about the communicator. That's what communication means. It's not about my inner world, right? A lot of times somebody will say, I have this great idea, or I heard this great idea, tell me. He opens his mouth, there's nothing coming out. They'll tell you, you had to be there. You had to be there to know what I'm talking about. So tell me. You can't say it. It's not because he wasn't there. Fakert. Sometimes he was there so much, but he doesn't have the ability to be able to structure it in a keli. The world, to travel from the inner world inside of you to the world of communication is a long journey. It's a journey from oidus to kalim. And that's not an easy journey. Because by definition, you have to be able to limit it on many, many different levels. And in the kalim of communication itself, there's many components. There's the kalim of defining it, articulating it. They say from Rabbi Chaim that in yeshiva, it's in yeshiva, in the world of the yeshivas, it's a very common expression. As a felt in hasbara, felt in havana. If you can't explain it, you didn't understand it. In other words, if you really, really understood it, the way Reb Chaim Brisker understood what understanding is, you would be able to explain it. Because it requires really capturing it in a way that you master it to the point that you're not just repeating words. You could really repackage it, redefine it into kalim. So that's kalim of hasbara, of explanation. There's also kalim of emotions. Understanding the audience, the world of the audience, relating to them. That's also kalim. There's kalim pasha to explain something. Yeah. You'll hear sometimes a person gets up to speak. It's one of in communication, it's bothersome. They have no structure. There's no beginning, no middle, no end. You don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're saying. It's more plopping. And it doesn't work. It's a very profound art. It's like an artist. Everybody could see the same image. I could look at the sunrise. I could see a sunset. It's beautiful. What does the artist do? The artist sees the image. It makes a very deep impression on him, but then he has the ability to capture it on canvas, to take a pen, take a feather, take a quill, take pigment, colors, and capture that. When I look at the piece of paper or the canvas that he's using, I see a living reality. That's called chush hatzir, the ability to impart on the canvas that the artist is using the full life and vitality of the inner experience. It's a unique skill, it's a unique art. The same is true in all forms of art, including especially when it comes to dibur, communication. So, of course, Moshe could speak and say anything, but that's not the point. You want me to speak. You want me to express myself. But that me is beyond expression because the iris are too powerful to be able to come into Kelim. They just can't. They're too pure. They're too infinite. And therefore, do me a favor. Shlach na b'yad tishlach. Send it to somebody who operates on a different level. This is not who I am. I'm not supposed to be your spokesman. I'm not supposed to be your the articulator of truth. Because in my world, if it's articulated, it's already not truth. If it's articulated, it's already not truth. It's a compromise. It's a pshara. Now, by Moshe, as he said, there was a humility element that he was glorifying tikkun over toyu. He says, really, it brings out his real maila of kvad peh or kvad lashon anoich. That all kelim mean that the oiris are very deeply compromised. And in his world, the oiris, they're not going to be compromised. He's just not going to do it. There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Belibi tzafanti kufyotes, Belibi tzafanti imrasecha, laman loy echtalach. I have concealed your words in my mouth so that I shouldn't sin to you. So there's different interpretations. And one of them is, Belibi tzafanti, I will not say a word. Because the moment I say, it's already not that. It's in my heart, I hide it. Laman lo yechtalach. Echta means sin, echta also means miss the mark. Right? Kaileya el hasayra v'loy yechta. It says about Shul when he shot arrows. Kaileya el hasayra, he always hit the target. It could be as small as a hair, a sayra. V'loy yechta, he never missed. Doesn't mean he never sinned, he never missed. I won't miss the mark, and I won't sin. Or earlier in Tillim, David HaMelech says, Cham libi bekirbi b'hagigi sivaresh dibarti b'lashoni. There's a pasuk of Yirmiyah v'nafshay yotza b'dabrei. His soul went out when he spoke. So literally it means the speaking was with the whole passion. Whenever you speak, you already take out the soul of it. When you speak, it should already nafsha yotza. The nefesh is you already ruined it. Not because the person is lying. That's not the point. It's because in that world of toyu, there's a contradiction. Kalim, by definition, will not capture that oir. If they do, it's not that oir. It's a different oir. It went through already a transformation, and it's you understand the word, huh? So therefore, Moshe says kvad peh, kvad lashon anoich. It comes out in the fact that he's not a communicator. This oir does not lend itself to communication. I wouldn't use the word scary. I think it's important to identify. There was a Yid. I know a Jew. I grew up with him in the same neighborhood. On Oved Hashem, very quiet. You couldn't get him ever to say a word. But a very knowledgeable person. So his son told me once, or his wife told me, someone in his family told me that his older boy told me that his mother was dating his father. In the 1960s, early 1960s. They went out a few times. So she went to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he asked her how it's going. So she says, "Ezaknish konvart." They used to go out on a train. I think they would go out on a train or a bus. I don't know what. Ezak pashnish konvart. Like. Yes, you're getting to know him, and this, the man doesn't speak. So he told her, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe told her, sagt nicht, weil hat nicht was zu sagen. Will nicht liegen. It's not that he doesn't have what to say. He doesn't want to lie. he doesn't speak. So I guess that sealed the deal over there. But in other words, it's not. Doesn't mean he doesn't want to lie. Not everybody who opens their mouth is lying. I mean, there are some people, the moment they open their mouth, it's already a problem. But the point is, all words are lies. That's the idea. All words are lies. I know I'm talking about it, right? I'm saying this in words. Yeah. Not lies, I lie where I was last night. Or I lie that I didn't lend you money, that I didn't borrow money from you. Right? Or I lie about a reality. It's a crass sheker. We're talking a much more subtle lie. In a way, a more scary lie, I guess. Not the blatant criminal lie of a shakra, but the subtle lie of even to the person themselves. Even to the person themselves. That's a very deep sensitivity, because very often, it's very even many people won't even understand. What are you talking about? What I'm not lying. I'm saying what is. But when one appreciates the oir on the level of tayu, then the keli, any keli, is already it's already a sheker.
It's not a sheker. It doesn't capture the.
Doesn't capture it, and when it tries to, that's a lie. It's yeah. So Moshe says, this is you know who I am. Loi ish dvarim anochi. It's not. I have a stutter today. I can't speak. I'm not in the mood. I'm not a man of words. It's just not who I am. I'm from Shemitah Rishayna. I come from a different Shemitah. I come from a different universe. I come from a different reality. The reality where God made the reality that the Oiris cannot go into the Kelim. They're too big. In Tikkun, take a person of Tikkun. The Oir Lechatchila is much smaller. Because if the Oir is taka very mitzumtzum, very small, then the Keli is beautiful. It's perfect. You need big Kelim, small Oiris. In other words, that the Keli matches the Oir, and that's wonderful. But in the world where the Oir transcends the Keli infinitely, then any Keli is already is cutting out 19% of it. And it's not even in numbers, it's the quality of it.
So it looks like Moshe is very precise. With a few words he's saying... you couldn't understand? No, especially talking to the Moshe. He doesn't know where he's coming
And of course, people won't be able to understand it either. People won't be able to understand it. Because whenever you come in contact with that Oir, there's no Keli, I can't relate to it. Because how could I relate to it? That's when it becomes scary. Because I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. This is reflected in many, many areas in life. Sometimes this is the dissonance, how do you say, the tension, the hametach, the tension. In Hebrew, the metach, the tension, the disarray between Oir and Keli is one of the profound dynamics in the human condition. And people of Kelim, usually point to the Keli as the problem. But very often, what they're identifying as a chisaron is really a maila. And by identifying it as a chisaron, they themselves miss the target. Like sometimes you'll have, this is not always the case, but you could see it if you're sensitive. Sometimes you'll have a young man or a young woman. They have tremendous itis. Whether you want to call it creativity, ingenuity, originality, deep truth, deep convictions, deep feelings. And somehow the kelim that they are in, the structure, the system, I'm not now going to be bashing systems, don't worry. But the structure they're in, the system they're in, is not in sync with those kelim. So what happens? So the others withdraw. So you look at them, you say, oh, why are you living such an empty, stupid life? Right? Why are you sleeping till 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Come on, be functional like your father is. I get up 6:30, I'm already at a shia, 7 o'clock in the morning. Present company excluded, another shia. Come on. Don't waste away your life. You have to have a system, you have to be up, you have to go here, you have to do this, you have to do this. All good words. It's important in life to have a system, to be organized, to have a structure, to have a morning, to have an afternoon, to have a night. Yeah. And what do I want to? I want to force this person to fix their kalim, like just wake up at a certain time, go to this school or go to this job or hold this and be structured and have all emes v'yatze v'nachem v'kayim v'yashem. What am I missing here? Can anybody answer the question? Huh? I completely misdiagnosed the issue. And why did I? Because for me to diagnose the issue correctly, you know what has to happen? I have to go out of my kalim. Oh, I don't want to do that. I have to be able to go out of my own keli in a very good way. I completely didn't recognize his oir. Completely didn't. I'm blaming it on his keli. No, his oir is bigger than the keli. Is it possible that the kalim you created or that you're comfortable with are completely not suitable for him? Not because he's sick, but because he's deep, because he's great. So there is a challenge. There's a challenge, but you have to know how to identify that challenge. It's a completely different language. What would have happened, I told you this mashal once, if Mozart would have grown up in a home without a piano, right? Thank God he had a piano. So at the age of 2, he was on the piano. At the age of 4, he was already a prodigy. At the age of 6, he turned over Vienna. What if he wouldn't have grown up with a piano? They would have given him Lego and vanilla ice cream and frozen pizza. Yeah? Lego is very nice, and vanilla ice cream is avada good, and frozen pizza is even better. And say, come on, here's Lego, here's vanilla lollipops. What would have happened? I don't know what would have happened. Thank God he had a piano for his genius. So the Gemara says, Lahavle Masechta Shabbos, Kuf Yutes, Al Tigui b'Mashiachai, Elu Tinoikas Shal Beis Rabba. Don't touch my Mashiach, my anointed ones. These are the children. This is a very, very deep statement. Every child is a little Mashiach. Every child is anointed. Yeah. Children dream. You remember when you were a child, you dream. You'll bring Mashiach, you'll change the world, you are Mashiach, but there's that element of infinity in the child. Don't touch that. Because very often when we grow up, we let go of these dreams. You know, who am I to change the world? If I could just pay my bills at the end of the month, I'm happy. So the Gemara says, do not kill the child inside of you. Don't damage it. Don't stifle it. And don't destroy it. And the child is a metaphor by the Balatanya for Midas of Tayu. Because children have that. They have that in a very deep way. So yes, there's a challenge that there's no keli, but you have to diagnose it correctly. It's very easy to say, this person simply does not know how to fit into kelim because he's lazy, because he's obnoxious, because he's stubborn. I'm not ready to say one thing. Maybe my kelim are too superficial, meek, and not really there to facilitate his oir. Because that takes a lot of humility to be able to say that I really cannot appreciate your light, and I have to be able to ask myself, are the structures that I created really completely not suitable for this oir? So what do I want you to do? I want you to kill your soul. I want you to destroy your inner heart. Now, I'm not saying this as a blanket statement in every situation of a teenager struggling, but this is a pattern that a person has to be sensitive to. Because without that, you often completely miss the person, lose the person. You cannot tell a person not to betray their itis. They may be too honest. Yes, many of us, when we grow up, we become dishonest with ourselves and we betray our own oir for the sake of keli. Or in simple Monsey language, it's called social conformity. Social conformity b'ivrit. And davar kazeh b'Yisrael, social conformity. Nobody conforms over there, huh? You could see it on the highways that nobody conforms. It would be nice if they would conform to red lights. But, social conformity, Chavratit, psharot b'shvil ha'chevra. Yeah? Conformity means right. In other words, get with the shtick. Oh, well, I don't care who you are. This is what you do. This is how you structure yourself. You want to fit in. And there is a certain maturity there too, a certain maturity. So we want the next generation to do exactly the same thing. Learn from me. Yeah. The problem is sometimes a person says, they may not even say it, but this is just, I'm not ready to betray my iris for your Caleb. I can't. If I'm true to myself, if this is my light, I can't betray it because of your structures. It just does not. It's not going to work. So I could curse the Keli, your Keli from today till tomorrow, and say, look at this ridiculousness and this ineptness and this laziness and this mashagas, and you're a spoiled brat and you're a user and you're a manipulator, right? And we understand those feelings. They're also human feelings. I'm not now judging them whether justified or not justified. People experience different things. What I'm not ready to do is really go back to the drawing board and really ask myself, perhaps I have to reinvent myself in order to be able to tune in to you, because I already have my kalim and you're not fitting into that. Maybe I have to be able to go to my own toihu, my own to be able to appreciate your It's clear what I'm saying. This is the Nakuda, and it's this is very real in people's lives, extremely real. We don't like it. It's not a comfortable thing, I'm just telling you. We love Kalim. We like when things look good. It just fits. It's structured. It's on works on paper. Oidas don't work on paper.
Change your nature.
Huh?
How to change your nature.
I have to go out of my Kali. Because if not, I will not be able to touch your earth. I've already structured it. Everything is working. And the truth is, I would say, we'll soon see at the end of the Maimar, I would say, this is what I'm feeling. I can't say this as an accurate description, as a scientific level. I'm feeling that today, the young generation, children are challenging their parents and educators to go out of their kalim and get in touch with their oidas. And we're resisting it for good reason, and also for responsible reasons, because we're scared and we want to protect our children. So there's a delicate component of creating kalim that suit the oir versus creating kalim because I don't care about your oir. And that's a very big difference. Yes?
The quote from Einstein said, everybody is a genius.
Very good. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by climbing a tree, its whole life it believes it's stupid. Yeah? Yeah.
When you have a class of 25 boys and a cheder, and it's very hard to make different cheder something.
Of course. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult.
And if the Rebbe lives in the Kalim, it's difficult. If he lives in the place,
Yeah, so the first thing is about acknowledging this, acknowledging our incompetence, and acknowledging sometimes our insensitivity to certain levels of oir. You know, what looks like profound rebelliousness is only a description of kalim. From the description of oir, it's not rebelliousness. It's actually a very deep spiritual expression. He's rebelling against the keli. So if I only look from kalim, I say, oh, this kid is a rebel. This kid is a troublemaker. This kid doesn't care about anything. No. Maybe he cares too much for you. And he's not ready to conform to corruption or insincerity or lack of honesty. So what you're calling a weakness is really a strength. Now, it becomes a weakness in the real world. Yeah, when you're sleeping till 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you have no life, it becomes a weakness. But the weakness, just like Moshe Lahavdil, or maybe not Lahavdil, Moshe had a speech impediment. There was a problem there. But the problem was not the speech impediment. That's not the problem. It's all, we'll fix something in the lips. We'll fix you in the lips when this, and it's something much deeper. V'hine Hashem yisbarach cheshev loy. Hashem answers him. Misam pela adam. Haloy anoichi Hashem, anoichi avai. You say you can't speak. Who makes a mouth? Who made a mouth? Anoichi avai, me avai. So you asked in the beginning of the Maimer, what is this? A tutorial to Moshe Rabbeinu that there's a creator? A whole lecture like, you're telling me you're not a man of words? What I don't understand. What is this, a joke? I'm the one who gives anybody the ability to speak. I told you there, Chaim asks a question. Why doesn't God just get to the point and say, listen, I know how to make people speak. I'll make you speak. What are you complaining? That you're sick? I'll heal you. You can't walk? I'll make you straight. You can't see? I'll make you see. You feel that you're mute? I'll make you speak. No problem. Doesn't say that in the pasuk. He starts like a philosophy. Me some pella adam. Did you ever wonder who made? Moshe knows that God made it. He's telling God, I know, but you made me I have a speech impediment for whatever reason. I know that's also b'ashgacha, but that's what you wanted, right? You know who I am, and I'm heavy of words. That's what he asked in the beginning. What are you going to tell him now that there's a creator of the world? You're going to teach him the animamins, the Yudgimel Ikri Emunah. Pirush, the Balatanya says, Emes ata oimer. There's emes. You're saying the truth. Sha'ata kveit kavat she'ein lecha kelim ke'elu anemtsoyim b'tikun. You do not have the kelim that exist in the world of tikkun she'noz chilosim b'seifa, with his integration, and as we explained before, that everything is connected and the end is etched in the beginning and the beginning is etched in the end. And if judging by the source of your soul, you are really destined to be a kvad peh. Why? Your oil is simply too big. There's no keli in the world that could contain it. You're not made for keli. A fact. You're right. In other words, it's not pshat. People don't have the right keli. There's no keli for your oil. Your oil does not belong in keli. It does not belong. No keli will express it. You're right. It's not like we'll wait a month, we'll wait a year, we'll give you a lesson, we'll teach you communication skills, we'll teach you how to speak, you'll go to speech therapy. That's not the issue. The issue is your oil cannot come into keli. Hashem is not arguing with him and saying, you're wrong. No, you're right. You're right. You are articulating a very deep truth about yourself. Achmi sam pella adam. Benikud kamatz. Roimaz al adam ayadua. Meaning, when Hashem responds to Moshe Rabbeinu, let's look at it inside, it's always better. Mi sam peh lo adam. Yeah. Al pidiktu mi sam peh le adam. Who put the mouth, who attached the mouth to a person? Mi sam peh lo adam, not le adam. Lo adam, all comets, double comets. Lo adam. What's pshat? Benikud comets roimez ala adam hayadua. This intimates on the adam. The adam, adam hayadua. Not la adam to a man, to the man. Big difference in Lashon Kodesh. A man, the man. A human being, the human being. Not la adam to any, who gives a mouth to any person, any child. Me. La adam ayadu haynu b'chinas adam da'atzilus alakis. It's the origin of Adam. The origin of Adam is known as in Kabbalah, known as Adam ha'elyon shalakis in Yecheskel. He speaks about the kisei ha'kavod, the throne of glory, and then there's mus kamare Adam ala kisei. The Adam on the kisei, which is of course a metaphor of Adam ha'elyon, which is basically called Adam da'atzilus alakisei. Shahu Shema, Adam is the name of Ma. Adam is 45, Aleph, Daled, Mem, which is a formulation of writing out Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei. When you write Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey fully, Yud, Vav, Daled, Hey, Aleph, Vav, Hey, Aleph, it's going to be 45, which is Adam. Shu Klolus HaTikun Kenoida, which represents the world of Tikkun. That's the first world of Atzilus, which is the world of Tikkun. Ve'inyan Klei HaPeh, Hu HaMamshich Makiv. The kleyapeh, the vessels of the mouth, the ability to speak, brings forth a light that is makif. Makif means a peripheral light, a transcendent light that encompasses the person. The Arizal says, "Shaydei habracha shel hamitzvah nimshach b'chinas hamakif, v'aydei hamitzvah atzma nimshach er pnimi." There's the mitzvah and there's the blessing for the mitzvah. The mitzvah creates, every mitzvah generates a particular or pnimi, which means a light that is internalized that comes into the person doing the mitzvah. Whether it's the mitzvah of giving tzedakah, or the mitzvah of learning Torah, the mitzvah of putting on tefillin, or the mitzvah of bikur chaylim, or the mitzvah of making of lighting Hanukkah candles. Then there's the bracha of the mitzvah, is nimshach b'chinas hamakif. The bracha is the way you articulate the mitzvah through words, verbally, that creates an or. The breath that comes from the mouth, what do we say, a sneeze here could create a tornado in Thailand. The breath that comes of the mouth, the hevel hapeh, which the bracha articulates, nasa, it's morphed into an makif, an encompassing light, v'ayin betanya pedekeh. It'll be a little clearer soon. V'lachein, fascinating, betfilin shal roish, nechleku asfardim v'ashkenazim, im yivarchu ala bracha miyuchedes. Which is why, by tefillin shal roish, there's a big debate between the Sfardim and Ashkenazim if you get a special brach. What's the machlokes? The Ashkenazim hold, this is the shitta of the Ashkenazim already in the Rishonim on Gemara Menachos, and it's brought in the Ramah and Shulchan Aruch, that you make two brachas. On my shal yad, I make lahaniach tefillin, and then when you put on shal roish, you make all mitzvahs tefillin. The Ramah brings, because there's a second shitta, you should say Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Elolam Vad after the second blessing, because Chash Bracha Levatal. The Sfardim held differently, completely different. One bracha. And everyone who follows Minik Svard makes only one bracha on tefillin, laniach tefillin. Unless you made a hefsek between the shayar and the sharosh you spoke in between, then you have to make a second bracha because the first bracha is not applying to the sharosh, and sharosh is a separate mitzvah. But if you don't make an interruption, you make one bracha, laniach tefillin, for tefillin. You never make a second bracha on sharosh. Now, how do we, when so many machlokes in Gemara, Rashi, Rabbeinu Tam, the Mechaber and the Ramah, the Rambam and the Ashkenazim. Rambam was a Sfardi, It's just one example. You have in the Kol HaTorah Kula, you have the Sfardim Ashkenazim. So we usually understand it. It happens to be that the Chachamim who lived in Spain had one opinion, and the Chachamim who lived in Germany had a different opinion. So it's Sfardim and Ashkenazim. That's only one layer of it. Balatanya says, "Mipnei sha'makiv de tefillin shorosh gavoya ma'od." In tefillin, there's the pnimi of the tefillin, the makif of tefillin. The makif of tefillin shaliyad is also high, but it's not like shorosh. The makif, which means the transcendent, super conscious light of tefillin, is very deep. Al kain minik svar shaloi levarach. Why? The sviriluhu she'i ef shalahamshech hamakif ahu. The Sfardim say there's nothing you can do to generate that makif. Be quiet. Vashkenazim svirilu the yichaylam lahamshech. The Ashkenazim held that you could do something about it. So that becomes a machlokes in halacha. The Ashkenazim hold, make a bracha. You could do something to generate that makif. The Sfardim say, no. This is a makif. Don't try to articulate it. Don't try to do anything with the tefillin. So the Sfardim say, don't make a bracha on it. It's not stump. It doesn't begin. It's an argument. It's really an argument how you touch the Gemara. It's a Gemara Menachos. Speaks about the two brachas, and the question is, when do you make the second bracha? So they argue, Pashut, when you learn the Gemara, it seems like it's an argument on the technical way of explaining, like so many arguments in the Gemara. But like we're learning here a whole time, it doesn't begin with the keli, it begins with the And this is all machlokes and shas. Why are they arguing? The one opinion didn't know how to read it the other way, and he didn't know how to read it this way. Which you can ask on 90% of arguments in Gemara. He teaches the pasuk azoi. He says, no, it's not that. No, he couldn't figure out the other teach. It doesn't begin with the words. It begins with the oiris. The Sfardim had a certain mahalach in life. The Ashkenazim had a certain mahalach in life. This type of makif, the Ashkenazim said, you could be mamshech. The Sfardim, you can't. The Mele, don't make a bracha. I'll call ponim lamadnu the kli apel mamshech makif. So what's b'meila? What's the conclusion? That the klei apeh, the vessels of the mouth, draw down like the bracha, the makif. V'zeu shamar mi sam peh la'adam kolayma mi hetzel kli apeh. Who created the vessels of the mouth? Shu keli shemamshech makif mi hetzilei la'adam the tikkun. Who gave this to Adam lo adam of tikkun. Haloy anoichi havaya. What's anoichi havaya? B'chinas atzmus oirin sof. The essence of ein sof. Shoyrish hakav v'chut oirin sof baruch hu. Hamakar l'chol oiris pnimim umakif. It comes from the place which is the source of all light, the source of all pnimi, and the source of all makifim. Moshe has been complaining, as we learned. Shlach no b'yat tishlach. I'm not the right person because I'm not a man of words. I'm a kvad peh kvad loshen. As the Balatanya explains, it's because the is infinite and cannot be contained in a keli, including not the keli of the mouth, which is one of the great kelim in the sense that it must structure and filter and limit and restrict, and that can't happen. What does Hashem tell him? Not that I'm going to heal you. You'll speak. That's not the point. Now we understand. Just to tell him, I'll make you speak. That's not the issue. The issue wasn't just a speech impediment. We'll fix your keli. The issue is that when Moshe speaks, it's not, his oir can't come out in the keli. Unless he's not Moshe. Unless you take him away from himself. If he's to be Moshe, then he can't communicate because his oir, his soul, from the world of the first Shemitah and the world of Toyu can't express itself. You want him not to be him, he can be not him. Oh. Right, so what was the answer? Good question.
So after Mountain Torah, everybody was made healthy, including Moshe.
Right, but already right in the beginning, Hashem says, Mi sampel la'adam. Who made the mouth to la'adam? And he says la'adam, it's not li'adam, to a man, but la'adam, which represents like to the man, is Haloyanoichi Hashem. Haloyanoichi Hashem. I, and he uses Yudke Vavke, meaning Adam is an what's called an Adam. An Adam is somebody, a human being is called an Adam. It's a person with a full organism. The organism of a person is called Adam. Adam represents Aleph Dam, the whole structure of a person. That's what you call an Adam, a developed human being. Like the first Adam. Spiritually, the source of Adam represents Adam Ha'elyon Sha'ala Kisei, called the world of Atzilus, the world of Tikkun, which is the divine organism, so to speak, which is the source for every other organism. All the 10 spheres working together. That's why you'll see in the pictures of the 10 spheres of Tikkun, it's always like an organism. There's a structure. There's the head and the heart and the torso and the legs and the hands. It all works in synchronization, what we call hiskalalus. It says, Misam Pella Adam. Who created the peh for the Adam of Atzilus? It's Anoichi. It's Anoichi Hashem. It's me, Yudke Vavke. And that's what he says, the second to the last line. We'll look inside. Haloy Anoichi Havaya. What's Anoichi? B'chinas atzmus erin sof. The essence of the light of infinity. Shoyrish hakav v'chut, the erin sof baruch hu. The source of what's called the kav, the line, or the chut, the thread of erin sof, the source of this. Hamakar l'chol eris pnimim umakif, which is the source for all the lights, whether they are internalized lights or they're makifim. They're encompassing transcendent lights that operate more on a place of subconscious or the superconscious, because it's makif, it's beyond human consciousness or the world's consciousness. V'im kain, if this is the case, mimeni lo yivatzer mu'uma. From me, from Atzmos, nothing is impossible. What's pshat? V'anoichi eye impicha gamke. This anoichi, again he uses the word anoichi twice. This anoichi will be with your mouth. 2, Pirush. Av shemitzad shar shechamitoyu. Ein lecha kelim kelu. Even though mitzad your source in toyu. You don't have such vessels. And therefore, you say you can't speak. Aval anoichi havaya. But there's something called anoichi, yudke vavke. Me, myself. Shasisias hakelim de tikkun. I have constructed, I have made, formed the vessels of tikkun. Ve'es olam hatayu. Together with olam hatayu as well, the world of chaos. Aniyacha lahapech hadavar. I can transform the reality. Lis arev p'chines toyu v'tikkun yachad. That toyu and tikkun could become mixed, integrated. Hainu hamaylas d'shneihem. Meaning, discovering the maila, the virtue, the greatness in both of them. Sheyiyu ha'oiris mirubim k'may b'toyu. There should be great oiris like in toyu without compromising that. But v'gam p'chines hamayla de tikkun. But together with the maila, the quality of tikkun, sheyiyu ha'kelim mirubim ma'od. That the vessels should be great. There should be the oiris of toyu without minimizing it or compromising it, and yet in the kelim of tikkun. V'az yiyeh, no, it's tchilasa b'soifa. And then, as we said in tikkun, you have the maila that the beginning is etched in the end, that it touches a part that is beyond beginning and end where there is integration. V'zel v'anoichi eyem picha. That's why he says, anoichi, I will be with your mouth. You need anoichi for this, the essence. Shagam sheshar shechamitoyu, even though your source is from toyu. And in reality, it seems, as you say, that toyu and tikkun are a paradox. And one must exclude the other. But nonetheless, im kol zeh, anoichi, I will be with your mouth, with the kelim. And the mele yilecha kelim de tikkun. You can have, Moshe, can have vessels of tikkun. Ubefrat kli hapeh, especially the vessel of the mouth, all the vessels, but especially the vessel of the mouth. As we said before, that through the mouth, the hevel hapeh, the breath of the mouth, generates an makif, v'yiyim kein b'cha shnei hamaylas. And therefore you will have within yourself the integration of both qualities. The quality of tayu, the virtue of tayu with great oir, and the virtue of tikkun with great kela. V'hainu. Mipnei shekem Moshe notes tchilasim b'soifon, kach note soifon b'tchilas. Just as the beginning, the highest, the source is etched in the end is also etched in the beginning. That's the expression in Sefer Yitzirah. No, it's soifon, no, it's chilasim b'soifon, v'soifon b'tchilas. L'kach yuchal liyos nimtza mailas atikun av b'toyu. Therefore, the maila of tikkun could exist. Even in toyu, chuli, l'kach yischaber yachad chuli. And thus they could be integrated together. What's the Havana in this? What's the understanding in this? What's the Havana in this? Hashem doesn't tell Moshe, you have a speech impediment, will make you be able to speak better. It's not, he says, Misam pella Adam. Who made a mouth la Adam? Who gave tikkun its kelim? Adam is tikkun, organisms, skulls. Peh is a keli. It's a mouth, it's communication. Who gave the original keli to tikkun? Haloy anoichi havai. Suddenly there's a new word here. Anoichi. Anoichi havai. Anoichi yudke vavke. That's the answer. And the same is the one who gave people the ability of vision, for vision, which is another keli. It's the keli of the eye. It's interesting. And then gave a person ability to speak, a person ability to hear versus deafness. Speaking versus muteness. He goes through these qualities. These are all the individual kelim that the body has in order to facilitate and channel the energy of the soul in a particular way. The ability for vision, the ability for audio, the ability for communication. Like he said before, there's Ramach Evarim. Each Aver is a keli, each limb is a keli for a particular capacity of the mind and the consciousness and the brain and the neshama that comes through it. And its chemistry is made up. It's designed in order to be able to facilitate it. I can't see with my nose, or smell with my hands, or touch with my eyes, or smell, with my mouth. Everyone has its unique keli. Or walk with my nose or with my mouth. For this you need legs, and for this feet, and for this you need arms. And every aver from the 248 have its uniqueness. That's the Adam, the keli. It's interesting when Chazal want to speak about a blind person, the expression is sagi nahar. Sagi nahar. What does sagi nahar mean? He has a lot of light. So the way the world understands it is, it's just a euphemism. It's called lashon hakiyah. Instead of calling him blind, you say he has a lot of light. It's like the opposite. Saturated, sagi, abundant light. So it's almost like, just to say it in a nice way. In Yiddish, when they wanted to say that somebody is really, a rotten potato, you would say atzatzke. What's atzatzke? A toy. Eichmer a toy. It's a churban, yeah? Yeah. Mothers wanted to describe their children who were a little challenging. They would say, my angel. My angel. Instead of saying my terrorist, you say my malach, my angel, my tzaddik, my tzaddik. It's a nice way of speaking. Yeah. In Chassidus it says, no. Sagi noher is not a euphemism. It's the emes. There's too much oir for the keli. That's pshat. Sagi noher is there's too much light for the keli to be able to get it, to be able to detect it. Overwhelmed. It's the exact opposite. Now the result, of course, is the person can't see. But not that they don't have vision. Sometimes they have much more vision. So sagi noher is not pshat. They're blind. That doesn't capture the truth of it. It means there's tremendous oir. The koyach ha're'iyah of the neshama is not compromised at all. It's that the keli can't capture it. And that's Moshe's taina when it comes to communication. Kvad loshen anochi. I come from Toyah. What does Hashem answer? Misam pella adam. Who created this mouth? The keli of dibur, or the keli of seeing, or the keli of hearing? Halay anochi yutke vavke. No, okay. So he asked in the Maimer, so now you just taught me that God created the world? Thank you. You want I should read Bereshis Barakim Shemaim Vesaretz? Why is this the answer? And then he says, go, v'anoichi eyim picha. Again, the word anoichi. But it's here, when you understand the real question of Moshe, the lamentation of Moshe, you understand the response. What's the response? So here it's a very profound concept. I'll try to explain at least one aspect of it. Be'ezer Hashem. And I hope that my mouth could be a conduit for the truth, for the idea that Balatanya is teaching here. Anoichi eyem picha. The paradox between Toyu and Tikkun comes only mitzad the experience of Toyu and Tikkun. When you introduce the Anoichi, everything changes. Yes, you have to understand the paradox. If you don't understand the paradox, you can't bring it together. If you don't understand the differences between two sides, you can't bring them together because you're just in denial, you're in la la land. You have to understand the paradox, you have to understand the tension. That's much of the Maimer. But then you have to understand the Anoichi. What's the paradox between Toyu and Tikkun? Toyu and Tikkun, you see in everything in the world, there is what it really, really is, and there's the way we interpret it. And that's not a small difference. What it is and the way we interpret it makes all the difference of life. Because all reality that we touch comes with interpretation. It's how I understand it, how I see it, how I perceive it. Or in other words, how my keli defines it. Yeah. We don't speak about reality, we speak about our version of reality. And there's a reason for that. That's what I can speak about. I can speak about my version of reality, my interpretation of reality, how I feel about it, how I see it, how I hear it, how I smell it, how I taste it, how I touch it, how I experience it. Yeah, we spoke once about light, that today they say, in the world of science, they'll tell you, you see red. What's that? You see red. It makes it red. It means that the light frequencies that are traveling from this particular object and are being detected by the chemistry or by the retina, by your eyes, and interpreted by your brain, define it in this particular way. There are colors that I can't see, not because they don't exist, but because I don't have the kalim to interpret them. So maybe they don't exist. There's animals, birds, they could see colors that I can't see. Now, in reality, what's the difference? If we all agree that it's red, it's red. But it's important to understand that. It's important that what it is basically the spectrums of the light waves, the way they reach me and are interpreted by me. So this becomes the definition of reality. And the same is true in all reality. This, when it comes to life, this becomes a vital idea. There's the way something is experienced by me and interpreted. And then there's the way it is in its essence. I have to understand it the way I interpret it, but then I have to understand it in its essence. What is taka the difference of Toyu and Tikkun? Let's go back to the source. That's what he says. You have to go back to the core. Toyu and Tikkun each capture a major truth. That's why they have to both be. One without the other denies a truth. And whenever you deny a truth, you're not living in reality. Toyu and Tikkun both express a fundamental truth in an opposite way. That's why they can't get along. What's the truth Toyu expresses? What's the truth Tikkun expresses? So over here, at the end of the Maimon, he speaks about Atzmos Ein Sof, Anoichi, the essence of Ein Sof. What's Toyu? I'll say the Isis, I'll say the Nakuda, and then what is Toyu? Back to our discussion. What is Toyu? Toyu, we say, is the 10 spheres. You have all the spheres. Keser, Chachma, Chesed, Gura, Tiferes. But what happened over there? What is it happened? What happens over there? It's every midah in its fullest, infinite intensity. What he calls the Nakuda of it. The core, at its core. In its full purity, in its full ferocious might. It's not nuanced, it's not a detail, it's not a perspective, it's not an aspect. It's like you get it at its core and its full intensity. It's very scary. If you don't live in it, if you live in it, it can also be very scary. But when it comes out, it's very intense. There's no room for anything else. It doesn't integrate. It can't integrate. It's not part of an organism because it's experienced within itself in such a powerful way it excludes every other reality. Like we spoke a few times, sometimes you have an emotion, and at that moment there's no room for any other emotion. Don't rationalize in this. And you could talk to me for 6 hours. It's irrelevant. That's why if you don't understand Toyu, you're not talking to the person. You're talking a language of Tikkun, and he's in the world of Toyu. Thank you. It's like speaking, your 6-year-old is crying because you took away something, and he's telling you and he's so upset, and you're explaining to him ideas and rationalizations and justifications. You're not talking to the person. You're talking the language of Tikkun. This person is in the space of time. There's no hiskalalus over there, integration. Everything is with full intensity, and that's why there's no kalim. There's always kalim, but very small kalim. What is, you have energy, a lot of energy. That's why Toyu, in a way, is much more truer than Tikkun. It's the first expression of Ein Sof. Tikkun is the opposite. Little oir, a lot of kalim. In other words, everything is defined, articulated, right, and expressed, and filtered, and structured, and therefore can get along with others. There's cooperation. There's my vision. There's your vision. We work together. I'm in a different place. I'm not feeling my midah in its full intensity and purity. No, it's like an organism. Basically, he says in Tikkun, every sphere gets expanded, And there's details. And the moment there's details, right? So then there's angles, and there's visions, and there's perspectives, and there's integration. And that's a tremendous quality. The kalim don't break over there, because the oiris are filtered through kalim. And as we spoke in other shiurim, that we see this constantly in life. People who have oiris without kalim can't get anything done. It's not sustainable. You have unbelievable visions. You have unbelievable dreams. But when it comes to Ma'aseh B'Po, when it comes to reality, implementation, you're dead. Every child of yours dies in the womb. It's people like that, great dreamers, but it's chaloimus shechalmu acherim al acherim. Because when oir hits reality, yeah, unless you have kalim, it's kaput. The oir just flies away and it remains in the world of infinity. You have no infrastructure. It's called infrastructure. A lot of people are that way, right? A lot of people are that way. It's even very practical. They don't know how to. They don't know how to hold a schedule. They don't know how to be on time. They don't know how to show up, and not because you have to talk to a person. He has dreams. He wants to change the world. So you say, "So tomorrow I want to see you 8:00 in the office." Yeah. Is 12 o'clock. He went to mikveh. Then he had a bris. Then he went to a kiddush. Then he had to finish his shir. You know, understand? And it's with good intention, but you right away see. There's no kalim here. Anybody relates to this? You have this in everything in life. You have people who are full of kalim. They live by the Swiss clock. Yeah, they don't even have to know why they're showing up. The main thing is to show up. You know those people? They're the opposite. They don't even have to have a reason, but the main thing is you have to show up. Why? Because they're Swiss clocks. If you're from the other world, they could make you crazy. You run away as fast as possible. Now it's great when you're married, when they tell you what they can get married to each other. So lebedek freilich. Especially when they have to go on a flight, right? The artist packs inside the taxi. When he's in it, he schleps everything, and inside the car, in the airport, he's still packing, yeah? And the other one, right, is already packed up, yeah. Certainly 5 days ago. It's already zippered, and it's standing on the porch. Because it can't stand inside the house, because it could be an extra minute from when the taxi comes. It's already on the porch outside. And look at the watch already an hour earlier. Huh? It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of kalim. I'm dramatizing it so you understand the difference. Yeah. The two are very, very different experiences. This is kalim. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, everything changes. Usually, Tohu, we say there was a shviris hakelim. In Tikkun, there were big kelim. Small oir, lots of kelim. In Tohu, a lot of oir, small kelim. And that's the klal. The more oir, the less keli. The more keli, the less oir. Because what does a keli mean? More keli means there's a greater emphasis on structure, a greater emphasis on channeling, on harnessing, on limiting. In many ways, content is oir and form is keli. Of course, different size kelim, yeah. But the definition of keli is always editing, cutting, mitigating, diluting, compromising, filtering, harnessing, structuring. Structuring for what? Structuring packaging. It's always packaging so that it should be able to be communicated in a different environment. It should be able to be passed on. It should be able to be, whether it's communication, whether it's coexistence, whether it's getting the job done, whether it's getting the product out there, whether it's getting customers to buy into it.
So process, systemization, all these are
process, systemizations, which in the world of business, that's where so many people, visionaries, get stuck. They get stuck in the quagmire of the process. I never knew about a process. I had a concept. No. Concepts are nothing. There's a process. And this systemization is all about Kalim.
It's in a way in business, there's a vision versus mission. Vision is talking about
Yeah. The tools to implement the vision. Yeah. There has to be a marriage. Always. If there's no marriage between Oir and Keli, then nothing exists in our world. The question is what's emphasized more, yeah? The greatest music, right? There's notes. The notes are the kalim. The greatest book is written in words and chapters, sentences and paragraphs. Those are the kalim. And it's very hard for people. You have a great idea for a book. It's going to be a bestseller. Okay. Can you provide the first chapter by next Monday? Wo was van? Provide chapters. Oh, I have to sit and write. It's an unbelievable idea. Of course it's an unbelievable idea, only to you. So maybe you tell me the idea. Because taking oir and putting it into a keli requires a certain brutality. Because the keli is never going to express the oir as the oir is expressed within itself. It's going to be brutal, and that's why some of us are allergic to it. There's a good reason for it. That's his point. Don't just knock it. The guy doesn't have structure. There's a brutality in structure. Like I told you about editors and newspapers. They take brilliant essays, right? They don't only chop off half of it. They sometimes cut off 80%, and the poor writer wants to kill himself. Not what he wrote. It's not my energy. It's not my soul. Sometimes it's an ego thing. And not necessarily a bad ego thing. I'm stuck in my vision. And the editor is like, I know my crowd. On the contrary, the real editor wants to make your article better, not worse. But he wants it should reach the masses.
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. Yeah. Yeah. As people often tell me, I can't watch your shiurim, I can't listen to your shiurim. Yeah? If the clip is less than 45 seconds, that's it. No. 45-second shiurim, that's all I can do. That's it. Lots of people are that way. Today they already have 8 minutes daf yomi. I don't know how you do it, but there's 8 minutes daf yomi. 8 minutes I have. Give me the blatte, lahavdil, right? They had 10-10. Give me 22 minutes, and I'll give you the world. Okay? Give me 45 today. It's not 22 minutes. That's too much. I'll give you 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Give me a clip, and gandikt. So, you could complain, you could lament. No, you have to hear the full hour. You want to be stuck in your own expression, or you want to reach the masses? It's a compromise. It's a compromise because Kalim brutally cut out a lot of the oir. The real Kali is not trying to be brutal, he's trying to reveal. But revealing is always about concealing. There's no revealing without concealing. Because you have to conceal that which is not available for revelation, which is beyond revelation. Now, which is more real in the world of realness? At first glance, you would say Tayu. Because Kalim are just limiters, are containers. But this Maimer says that Moshe understood that there's something special in Tikkun, that he was very humbled in its presence, and he said, Shlachna be'atishlach. He didn't only look at Tikkun and say, this is for the masses. He saw that there's something in Tikkun. Because Tayu and Tikkun both capture a truth, but not the truth. A truth, and a very fundamental truth, but not the truth. Atzmus Ein Sof, the essence of Hashem, what does that look like? Now that question is a very foolish question. Because the moment it looks like something, it's not that. The only definition that Judaism gives for God is that there's no definition. That's the only definition. Yeah. In Yiddish, we say Eibishter. What does Eibishter mean? The one on top. What does that mean? So I once heard from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he said the definition of Eibishter is Vunar Meret is Hecher. Wherever you are, it's just higher. That's the definition. In other words, wherever you are, you didn't capture it yet. The only definition is there's no definition.
There is a word which can express that.
Yeah. The Kali. Let's hear the Kali.
No. The reality, it's our reality, as you say, subjective reality. And there is such a thing as absolute reality, which none of us can touch. But there is
absolute reality. Yeah.
that is
Yeah. And when the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim wants to describe Hashem, he has an expression, Mitzias bilti Mitzias nimtza, or Matzui v'loy b'Mitzias, which in English I would say a non-existential state of existence, or a non-existential state of reality. An existence that exists, but the moment you're calling it existence, it's already not existence. Yeah, even the word existence is already not a good word. Because for me, existence is definition. I know a cup I could say exists. I could even say a concept exists, but I need walls. A concept for me, everything has a picture by us. It could be a spiritual picture, but it's a picture. An emotion has a picture. You all know that, right? Even if you're not dealing with synesthesia, everything has a picture. Everything has a definition. Just like this has a picture. An idea has a picture. An emotion has a different type of picture, but a picture. Existence has a picture. So the Rambam's expression is Matzui v'loy b'Mitzias. I'm saying he exists only because I don't want to say he doesn't exist. But saying he exists and he doesn't exist is actually pretty much identical. Because existence is the same trap like non-existence. We don't want to say he doesn't exist. But saying he exists is the same problem.
Non-existential existence.
That's why I said a non-existential state of existence. Now, I'm not trying to use semantics. This becomes critical. So over there, you don't talk about spheres. You don't talk about definition. You don't talk about 10 spheres. Yeah. You don't even talk about Oir. You don't talk about Kalim. What do you talk? You don't talk. Even not about Oir. In other words, the absolute reality. And even again, the word reality is a trap. Because when we use the word reality, what does it mean? It means it's real. It means it exists, right? You're a reality. I'm a reality. He's a reality. I think at least you think you're a reality. The world, reality by us is existence. Reality means it's real. It's something. Yeah. Science is looking for that which exists. Only for that which exists. Yeah. The moment science will touch on this, the moment science will discover this, right? It will experience its ultimate humility, its ultimate bittul. That's very hard for scientists. I have to be the expert. Of course. Of course. In that sense, yeah, we all yeah. So now hear the word. Here's the Reichkeit of Chassidus comes out. How does the essence of God emerge? So here is always how life works, because we see it by us. Whenever something that's beyond me emerges into my life, I could never capture it fully. I capture it according to my experience. So when Ein Sof chose, I'm using the word chose, decided only because these are the only words I know, so I can't use any other words. But when Ein Sof chose or wanted or desired for there to be a universe, for there to be life, for there to be an existential state of existence. When, for whatever purpose, for whatever reason, but when the Atzmos chose that, how does that get captured by reality? So there's two opposite stages, Toyu and Tikkun. Toyu chaps the Ein Sof. Tikkun chaps the undefined reality. But each of them chaps it through their own modality, and therefore they become a paradox. Toyu speaks and says, truth is infinite. Truth is not finite. If chesed is true, it's infinite. God is infinite. I'm no finite little structured guy. This light is infinite. Is Toyu right? Absolutely right. Is Toyu wrong? Yes. Why? Because when Ein Sof is infinite, it's not defined. When Toyu is infinite, it's the midas are infinite. It captured infinity in the midas. In other words, it's the way the spheres come out in an infinite way, and therefore they start contradicting each other. But in the essence, everything is one, because there's no definition. But Toyu is already the way it emerges into spheres. So the way Ein Sof is expressed in the world of spheres, what do I have? I have one midah that can't deal with any other midah. It's so pure. So the purity expresses God. But the inability to coexist with the other midah is coming from the limit of the world of Tayu, which is the way infinity is expressed through the spheres. Now come to Tikkun. Tikkun says, relax, calm down, a große Welt. Okay, you got to mature. You're not a child anymore. You're not a teenager anymore. Okay, just sit by your desk and show up from 9 to 5, and then you'll go on vacation if you behave for 7 months. Tikkun is the greatest compromise on Tayu. But Tikkun, in its pnimius, captures another truth, the truth of coexistence. What does coexistence come from in its source? It comes from the fact that in the undefined reality, everything works together. Everything is one. It's indivisible. So the way I experience Tikkun may be in a weakness, the weakness of it, the compromise of it. In its essence, what is it a manifestation of? Achdus, the oneness of Ein Sof. There's Tikkun the way it could come from weakness, and there's Tikkun the way it comes from the ultimate strength. Yeah. The Kotzker Rebbe used to say, when they used to tell him, why can't you be more balanced? So you know what he used to say, yeah? He said, get a kick from Fenster. Look out the window. Wer geht mitten das? Wer geht mitten? Mi olech be'emtza rechav. Who goes in the middle? Ferd. Nor Ferd. Menschen gehen rechts oder links. Right? You can go out here. Who goes in the middle of the road? Today it's not Ferd, it's cars. Yeah? Horses go in the middle. People go right or left. You want me to be a horse? I don't go in the middle. I'm not trying to be nice to accommodate everybody. I was in the middle. Not have too many people. I'm a person. Person is real. Real. I'm not a dead portrait. I can always be perfect equilibrium. That's aferd. I'm not a horse. That's what the Kotzker Rebbe said. You'll open up a Rambam Hilchas Deis, and the Rambam says the derech of a Jew is derech emtsayis, go in the middle, don't go right, don't go left. Don't become stingy like crazy, and don't become a spender, right? And don't be a frivolous, giggling all day, and don't become a depressed. Are they contradicting each other? You could say the Rambam was a rational person, a mensch von Kalim, the doctor of the Sultan and the Kotzker Rebbe was wild. That's a very superficial explanation. The Rambam had an infinite fire burning in him. If you read it, you know the Rambam, he had an infinite fire burning in him. They're talking about two different things. There is centeredness that comes from fear, and there is centeredness that comes from infinity. It's very different. There is centeredness because I don't really want to have an opinion. I just want to be good with everybody. They said that when there was an Israeli prime minister, he was indecisive. Yeah. So you asked him, you like coffee? He said, I like coffee also. Not quite. You like tea? I like half coffee, half tea. Yeah. There was once a Rav, so say a rabbi, somebody came to him and says, Yankel owes me $1,000. So he says, okay, let him give it to you. So Yankel says, no, it's the other way around. Chaim owes me. So he says, yeah, you're right. Hitaka owes you. So the Rebbe says, how can they both be right? He says, you're also right. And I'm in the middle of the road, guy. I can't, I'm afraid of I don't want to be radical in any way because I don't want to believe too much in anything. That's the weakness. The strength of Tikkun is, it comes from a much deeper place. It comes from touching on the essence. And the essence is not defined by being infinite, because the definition of infinity in Taihu is that my mid is infinite. And Tikkun has a skalalos, no tzoifon betchilosin, because it touches a place where there's no beginning and there's no end, there's no higher and there's no lower, and therefore they can be integrated. So who's right, Taihu or Tikkun? And the answer is, both are right and both are wrong. Each one is an expression of a tremendous truth, and there is that tension in that expression. That's till you touch the Anoichi. Once you touch Anoichi, haloyan mi sam pella adam haloyan Anoichi havaya. Anoichi is atzmos. It's the essence. Anoichi. I'm the one who made the kelim for tikkun. If I'm the one who made the kelim for tikkun, v'anoichi eyimpech. The kelim of tikkun are not really contradictions to Toyu. The kelim of tikkun are contradictions from Toyu, are contradictions to Toyu, because you're missing the piece of anoichi. Because you're missing the ultimate essence in which undefined reality is much more real than anything else. And therefore, the vessel that defines the light could be as real as the light that refuses to be defined. The vessel that defines the light could be as real, as infinite, as the light that refuses every vessel. Once you can introduce the Anoichi. Yeah, Moshe says, Lo yish dvarim Anoichi. I'm kvat pekvat loshen, shlach na b'yat tishlach. This is going to be a disaster. Trust me, I'm not made for the people. I'm supposed to be a shepherd with sheep. Sheep maybe can understand me because they don't have to understand me. They could just be sheep. Moshe Hayaraya. Moshe is a shepherd, isolated, segregated, in commune with nature. You know, sheep understand. They don't have to understand. That's why they understand. When you don't have to understand, you understand. When you have to understand, you understand nothing. Sign, they surrender. This is what Hashem tells Moshe, and it becomes the revolutionary moment in history. And that is that the paradox of Toyu and Tikkun is very, very real until you touch the Anoichi. Because until you touch the Anoichi, then the infinity of Toyu cannot dwell in the finiteness of Tikkun. And the finiteness of Tikkun defies the infinite expression of Toyu. But wait, that's the chitzonius of it. That's the externality of it. The pnimius of it is they're each defining atzmos according to their limitation. What's Toyu's limitation? That it has to be infinite. What's Tikkun's limitation? That it believes it has to be structured. That's each one's limitation. Each one is capturing a truth. The truth of Toyu is God is Ein Sof. The falsehood of Toyu is the Ein Sof is articulated in one way, through my sphere. The superficiality of Tikkun is everything is limited. The strength of Tikkun is the integration, the unity, the synthesis, the bittul, which touches and captures the ultimate unity. The way it's channeled in my experience of Tikkun is it's limited, it's compromised. This is Anoichi Havaya Sam Pella Adam. The Keli of Tikkun was made by Anoichi. I'm not defined by that limit. What I see in Tikkun is what? What I see in Tikkun is infinity being expressed through the Keli of Tikkun, because in the real Metzias, the real Mos, Keli is not a contradiction to Eir. Just like in Atzmos, Keli is not a contradiction to Eir. In Atzmos, everything is completely one. When you can reveal that aspect of Tikkun, what happens? The Hagbola, the Gvul, the limit of the Keli is not a stira. It's not a contradiction that negates the unlimitedness of the Eir. That's the way Toyu and Tikkun are experienced outside of the essence in our experience, and therefore we operate in this tension. Am I in a state of Toyu and a state of Tikkun? But when you align both Toyu and Tikkun with Anoichi, so then, as he says, you can have Oidas the Toyu, Bekalim the Tikkun. How can you have Oidas the Toyu, Bekalim the Tikkun? You can have Oidas the Toyu because you're not afraid of infinity. You can have Kalim the Tikkun because you touch on the source of infinity of Toyu. You understand that the source of the infinity of Toyu is not selfish. It's not self-contained. What is it? It's touching on the pure essence that's undefined. And therefore, When I limit the oir in the keli, it's not because of the weakness, because of the fear, because I can't deal with oir, because I'm just afraid, because I'm just thinking about business. It's because when you touch the true essence of Ein Sof, then nothing is excluded. Nothing is excluded. So yes, the Keli limits it, but what you're calling a limitation, we're really calling the experience of oneness, which becomes all-inclusive rather than exclusive. That's the limit. It's not a limit that's coming because of a limited perspective and a limited world. It's a limit that's coming from the ultimate unlimitedness, where everything can come into the reality, where everything can be unified. You, Moshe, you're the only one who can do it, because we need the Oidus of Tayu. In ultimate reality, we don't want to have just Kalim. We want the Oidus of Tayu. We want the Ein Sof of Tayu. But how? In Kalim of Tikkun. So it's you who have to learn. Lech go v'anochi eyim picha. Because the ultimate peace in the human being, the ultimate harmony of the world, yes, the ultimate achdus of everything is not to exclude tayu or to exclude tikkun. It's ultimately to be able to embrace the tayu, but without the pitfall of tayu on its own when it's divorced from the essence. Because tayu on its own when it's divorced from the essence tells only one truth. The truth is that this is infinite, it's pure, it's true, it's extreme, it's beautiful for tayu, and it can become very destructive. Tikkun on its own tells only of its truth, and that is cooperation, limit, etc. When you can find anoichi, tayu creates space for tikkun, tikkun creates space for tayu, and the keli ultimately captures the oid of tayu. How can the keli capture the oid of tayu? The whole definition of the keli is what? Limit. The answer is the keli is redefined by anoichi. So the definition of tikkun is not the limit the oid. The definition of tikkun is, I want to teach you, my dear oid, I want to teach you about atzmos. I want to teach you about the essence. And when you learn about the essence, you're going to discover the art of limitation. Not because we're afraid of radicalism, not because we're afraid of infinity, but because we know that in the ultimate reality, everything must be included. Everything is part of the reality. Definitions will get you stuck. We're being limited. We're being limited. Why? Not because we believe in limitation, but rather the limitation becomes a facilitator of the greater infinity that encompasses all of the spheres behiskalalos. No, it's seifim b'tchilasim v'seifim b'tchilasim b'seifim. Okay.
Everything is a combination of both.
Yeah.
The person has both.
Yeah.
You can't be in Torah alone also.
You could be, but you could be.
Still needed
Yeah.
our own.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to resolve the concept of the Rambam. I was waiting for that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The Kotzker was speaking about a centeredness that comes from weakness. In other words, there's a centeredness that comes from weakness.
But the Rambam was saying the Torah tells us we have to go on the derech hayasher.
And then there's a center that synthesizes. It's very different. The difference of the synthesizer or the indecisiveness. Like Haran, you know the story with Haran? Haran said, if Avraham wins, I'll go to Avraham. If the other side wins, I'll go to the other side. Yeah? The Maharal says Haran is the same letters like Aaron. Aaron and Haran had very similar personalities. Aaron loved making peace with everybody. He didn't like conflict. Oyev Shalom, Veroidev Shalom, right? But there's a difference in Haran and Aaron. Aaron has an Aleph in the beginning. Aleph, Echad, Achdus, oneness. Yeah, what's the difference? There's a peacemaker because I don't take sides. I don't believe in anything. You're right. I just, ich will sein Git mit allemen. I just, this is a flatterer. There's Aaron. Aaron wasn't afraid. Aaron was a very confident person. He saw the aleph that allowed him to synthesize, to integrate. The art of synthesis, that's the center, but it's a different type of center. It's not I'm afraid of the extremes. I want to touch the essence of the extremes. And when you touch the essence of the extremes, you could bring them together.
So that's why the Rabbi
Extreme.
It's only is right.
Yeah.
In order to reach
The opposites are only when you touch the extremes, but not the essence. When you touch the essence, anoichi, you could bring them together.
He was a synthesis of the Torah.
Yeah.
The Torah is literally endless.
That's true.
So the Anochi was Hashem saying to Moshe, I'm the integration. I'm the one to give you the comfort. But nonetheless, he was kafar. It gave Moshe the confidence to go forward.
Yeah.
And that confidence was translated into the utilization of Aharon.
Yeah. 100%.
He was the compromise. And he, in a sense, was like the representation of Anochi.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, good. Well said.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.